And hello, everyone. On this Friday, June 14th, 2024, you're listening to 92.5 WLSD, The Vault, WLSDradio.com, and you're checking out the show Real Talk tonight. We're going to be diving into the 1996 Pauly Shore comedy, Biodome. But before we get into that, please go to all of our social media pages. That's the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. Please like and subscribe. And leave us a little bit of a review. But it's going to be a good show tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hadn't really watched Biodome in quite some time, and originally wasn't going to be the movie that we were going to dive into, but I've decided, yes, that will be the movie. We've kind of delved into some more hard-hitting, serious, fair horror movies, throwback thrillers. So now we're just going to do a mindless, fun, silly, goofy, stupid comedy, Biodome. And, if you don't know a lot about Pauly Shore, this is the theatrical movie that ended Pauly Shore's theatrical Hollywood career. And we're going to dive into the reasons why that might be on tonight's episode. Now, I have really always had a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for Mr. Paul Montgomery Shore. And for a while, so did America. He had come on with the, a lot of people know him from, Encino Man in the movies, but he started on Totally Pauly on MTV. He got his show there. His mother owned the comedy store, Mitzi, and every huge comedian during the, the 70s and 80s and 90s went through that store, went through that comedy club, and with a smile or a laugh from Pauly's mother, it could make or it could break your comedic career. So he was able to get into, he had some bit parts in some shows. Married with Children, he had one episode and a few little bit parts like that. But he hit big with MTV. He hit big with the comedy albums. He hit big with the college crowd at the time. And he also hit big with Encino Man, starring Sean Astin and Brendan Fraser. And that was a huge, huge movie for all three of them. But Pauly got a 3-picture movie deal out of Encino Man. 2 others with Encino Man. Those included Son-in-Law and In the Army Now. He also had Jury Duty and tonight's feature, Biodome. And like I said at the beginning of the show, Biodome was kind of the movie that put Pauly Shore's Hollywood career 6 feet under into the ground. Because after this, if you ever noticed, you've never seen Pauly Shore on the big screen again, unless it's in smaller little bit parts, like in he was in a David Spade movie where I think it's called like Child Star Dickie Roberts, something like that. He has like a miniature part in that. He has a little small part in the Adam Sandler movie Funny People. The Wash, the Snoop Dogg movie, he had a little part in that. But after this movie, for a long time, he was just negated to, music videos, bit parts in movies, or putting out things online. And he's found a home since then doing some things. I've actually seen Pauly a couple times. I've met him a handful of times as well. But we're going to dive into the cult classic now called Biodome, directed by Jason Blum. And I've never really heard much about Jason Blum's career other than Biodome. And I did notice he just has the name Blum. It just connects, and it's a very memorable last name. So I always remember that name. But he's not done a lot since then as far as theatrical features goes. He had Biodome, and he had a movie called Overnight Delivery, which was a Paul, what is his name? It's not Paul Walker, but it is the other Paul that is Ant-Man. But regardless, it had him in it, and he directed a couple of episodes of Veronica Mars, if you remember that show from the 90s, and iZombie from the mid-2010s. I guess the 2010s. iZombie, which actually, honestly, wasn't a bad show. I watched, that was one of the few shows that I've watched all of the episodes, and it was actually Paul Rudd is who I'm thinking of. But yeah, iZombie wasn't that bad of a show. But let's get into the cast of Biodome, because Biodome does have a fairly decent cast. And it's got a cast of people that I think that you all have heard of. If it's really not people that you've heard of, it is names and faces that you have seen. First, we've got Pauly Shore as Bud, Stephen Baldwin as Doyle, William Atherton as Dr. Faulkner, and you may not know the name, but you know the face. And if you've seen the movie Die Hard and Die Hard 2, that's primarily where you would know him from. We've got Kylie Minogue as Dr. Petra and Joey Lauren Adams as Monique. And if you know Kylie Minogue, she had a pop star career. She was also in the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Street Fighter, and Joey Lauren Adams is in Chasing Amy, the Kevin Smith movie, and also in Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. So let's get into a few facts about the movie Biodome. Alec Baldwin, who's brother to Stephen Baldwin, told his brother that if you star in this movie Biodome, it will kill your movie career. And he was right. It did. Stephen Baldwin, now I always found this a very odd movie for him to be in. Because he was in The Usual Suspects, Biodome, and Fled. And that's mainly the main three theatrical features that Stephen Baldwin has been in, as far as I know. And I just found it was very odd that he followed up Usual Suspects in 1995 with Biodome in 1996. That just kind of always got me. But he has been in a couple of other different theatrical movies. Stephen Baldwin, he was in 8 Seconds, Posse, Casualties of War, Homeboy with Mickey Rourke, A Simple Twist of Fate with Steve Martin, Usual Suspects, Biodome, Fled. So he has had a couple of movies. I think his last theatrical movie was the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas, and he played Barney Rubble. And if you remember, the original Barney Rubble was not played by Stephen Baldwin. It was played by Rick Moranis. Some more facts is Jack Black and Kyle Gass performed together as Tenacious D during this movie. If you know anything about this movie, the moronic best friends get themselves locked inside of an experimental biodome, mistaking it for a mall. So as these two losers' girlfriends, one played by Joey Lauren Adams, Monique, they're trying to help save the planet, and Tenacious D is the band there. They just want to save some freaking trees. And they say that in the movie. They do say that in the film. And then you've got Kylie Minogue called this movie her worst career move, and also the only career move in which her dad has joked and kind of put her down. So a lot of people did not really enjoy this movie. I'm not sure about the making of the movie. If you do watch this movie, you're wondering quite often, was this actually filmed? Like, was this script written? Did they improv? Did they just make this stuff up on the fly? Because it does come across that way, which could either mean this is total genius or this is a total stupidity. So it could be either one. So we've got the budget of this film was $15 million, and it only made $13.4 million. So it was considered a box office disappointment. Rotten Tomatoes has it as probably the lowest that we've done on the show, 4% positive. And it's got an audience score of 17% and an IMDb rating of 4.4, which makes this possibly the lowest rated movie that we have actually talked about on Real Talk. So that's a very good possibility. So plot the story, like I said, you've got Bud, you've got Doyle. They're kind of hapless losers who don't really do anything. They're harmless, but they're lazy. They don't have jobs. They don't want to do anything. And basically, the only way that they're out of the house is that their girlfriends have said, we're going to Earth Day thing this year. You're not helping us. We're going to find some new boyfriends. And that gets Bud and Doyle off their butts, cruising down the road until Doyle has to use the bathroom. They see a experimental looking, quote, mall, which is really a biodome. They mistake that for a mall, going in using the bathroom, and then they get locked inside for the next year, wreaking havoc on the scientists that are stuck with them inside this biodome. And that's really what it's about. And that's a pretty decent, plot, I guess. But you think Pauly Shore, and he's coming off of the hit movie Encino Man, and then he's in the hit movie Son-in-Law, and then In the Army Now didn't do quite as well as the other two, but they still did, relatively well. And then you've got Jury Duty, which actually dipped down, and Jury Duty and Biodome seem to be neck and neck about the same type of movie. A very similar type. Whereas the first three were on a little bit of a higher level, so to speak. Script-wise, at least, I think. The characters of this movie, you've got Pauly Shore, Stephen Baldwin, and the rest of the crew. With the material that they have, I think everyone does a fine job. I mean, I can't think of many other actors or actresses that would actually be in this movie. But once they're in this movie, would they be able to actually act? Because being a comedic actor or actress is not easy at all. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think it's a thing that Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin do a great job of acting stupid. of being complete morons. And they do that, and it works fine. Do I have a favorite or least favorite scene? There's a lot of silly scenes in this movie, and there's a nice little character in this movie. Before we get into the scenes, named I can't think of his name in the movie, but he is played by none other than Taylor Negron. And if you're wondering who Taylor Negron is Taylor Negron is pretty much the godfather of, oh, it's that guy, one of those guys. Because he has been in so many movies that you can't even believe. And I'm about to name you quite a few of these movies that Taylor Negron has been in. No, Taylor Negron passed away January 10th, 2015. Wow. Almost 9 years ago of cancer. And he was the cousin to a man that was in Conrad Negron of the band, Chuck Negron of the band Three Dog Night is his cousin. But here are some of the films that Taylor Negron has appeared in. Angels in the Outfield, The Aristocrats, Better Off Dead, Call Me Claus, Easy Money, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, River's Edge, The Last Boy Scout, which is actually one of the first roles the second, maybe the first role that I'd seen him in. Nothing But Trouble, that could have been the first or second. Punchline with Tom Hanks, The Stoned Age, Stuart Little, Funky Monkey, Biodome, How I Got Into College, Vamps, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, That's So Raven, Ben Stiller Show, Seinfeld, ER, Reno 911, Curb Your Enthusiasm, My Wife and Kids, Party of Five, Falcon Crest, Wizards of Waverly Place, Smart Guy, Uncabaret. He was in The Comedians with Billy Crystal. So Taylor Negron makes a little bit of a cameo in this as well as I can't think of his name. It just is not Russell. I think his name is Russell. So keep a eye out for Taylor Negron. And I do like the fact that he's in there. He's in 2 scenes in the movie, and he always steals whatever scenes he's in. That's a funny scene. And I do like the William Faulkner, Dr. Faulkner, his crazy music. I wish I could find it. If I can find it, I will play it. Because it is pretty funny. Because it fits, the scientist who has been wanting to do this, being this, experiment. It's every preparation has been made for them to live in this biodome for 1 year and make it compatible, humans and nature living together in one. But here come Bud and Doyle, and they wreak havoc, on everything. And if I could really find the music to that, but Dr. Faulkner, his little crazy music is kind of a treat because it fits perfectly. And if I can find it, I will play it for you. Least favorite scene, I don't really. There's a lot of like teenage humor in this film. There's a couple of scenes where they're, passing gas and then telling the other one what they had based upon the gas that they smelled. It's ridiculous, and typically that particular part doesn't make me laugh, but it's that type of humor throughout. A lot of the movie as well. Let's see what else we have here. Score and music. This has a pretty decent score. A lot of it's kind of like, the safety dance. Here's the song. I mean, it's just the score complements the movie pretty well. I mean, the music. I wouldn't say there's like really what you would say a score per se, as there are in a lot of these movies that we watch, but it is on there, and the soundtrack pretty much does complement the movie as it would. And it's kind of the music kind of has that '90s feel. It's got that mid '90s feel to it, which is fun, kind of a throwback. Nothing special, nothing great, but it's okay. Originality. I would say this movie is a pretty fun original movie. It was made out of a couple different things, and I think considering what they had, what the script was, which I would have loved to look at and see what the script was. I would like to actually just read the script one day and see how much the actual shooting script resembled what we got on screen. Because it could resemble it completely, or maybe not at all. You never really know in things like this. But, considering it's not a high concept comedy at all. But it's fun, and it is what it is. I do think the poster fits the movie well. I really do. I think it does because it's got Stephen Baldwin, it's got Pauly Shore. They're pressed up against the glass of the biodome, and they're looking out right at you, the audience. It's airtight. It's ecological balance. It's party time. Ecologically balanced, excuse me. Your dome away from home. That was the tagline. Your dome away from home. So, what else can you say? Would I recommend Biodome? Sure. I would say sure. I would give it a soft sure. A cool thumbs up. Is Biodome a great movie? No. Is Biodome an intellectual movie? No. But Biodome is a little bit of an escapism. It's mindless fun. It's a nice throwback to a simpler time, the mid-'90s, a time where, and I just wonder if Pauly had any inkling that this was it. Because typically, you would have another project lined up, and maybe the studios were waiting to see if Biodome was a hit or not. Now, there have been multiple actors and actresses over the years that's had movies done worse as far as, okay, Biodome has made its money back and become a cult following or a cult movie over the years. But at the time, Pauly Shore's career came to a screeching stop, or halt, stalled, halt. See?
Mommy, Daddy, they can't help me anymore. Cousins, uncles, well, they shut me out the door. Nobody can stop a man if he's got blinders on. Don't take away the spotlight on this special hour of fun in suburbia.
So it kind of has a little bit of that offbeat feel to it, but it's a silly movie. It's a silly, goofy, ridiculous, plotted. If a lot of people find Pauly Shore's antics, they get old really quickly. But if you're going in and if you look at the poster and you know Pauly Shore's work, you know right away whether you're going to enjoy this movie or not. So I would say go ahead, sit back on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, when you just want to sit back, you want to leave the world outside. This is playing on, I think it's on a couple of things. Freevee maybe, Pluto TV. I happen to have the DVD of it as well. But yeah, check out Biodome. Let me know what you think. Next week, though, we're going to dive into... I'm not really sure. I never really know, and I wish I did know so I could go ahead and promote in advance. But we might do a more current movie next week. I think that's what we're going to do. So, yeah. So, Biodome, check it out. Please go to all of our social media pages. That's the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. Like and subscribe. And please do give us a like and a subscription. Some new things are coming this summer. In the works, Echoes in the Dark. The cast is coming together and shooting will begin within the next week or so. Looking forward to that. The Dark Place, I teased that a week or so ago. That's coming up soon, probably in July. And check out all the great programming on 93.5 as well as 92.5 WLSD The Vault and WLSDradio.com. I'm Adam. Have a good night.